Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Today, a whole bunch of different things coming up on the pod. I'm going to try and cover a lot of different topics, but I'm also going to give you a heads up right off the bat that today there's going to be more Epstein talk, more audio. This one, not as much about Epstein, more about the implosion of Donald Trump's brain. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how Donald Trump doesn't seem to be playing the long game here when it comes to the Epstein stuff. Maybe he is. Maybe he's got a plan. Or maybe he's lost the plot. I'm going to play some old audio from Donald Trump where he talks about how important it is that we find out what's in the Epstein files. Now, of course, he's calling it a hoax. But we're also going to cover a couple other topics. We're going to talk about remote work in this episode. Today, we're going to talk about scooters and safety on the e-scooters because it turns out there's a lot of kids going to the emergency room. And maybe you think, oh, my God, that's terrible. I'm here to tell you that we don't need more laws to keep children out of emergency rooms. Laws don't do that. So that is coming up on this episode. And we're going to talk a little bit about the World Cup, too. The World Cup's coming up. A lot of inconvenience for the folks in Toronto in particular. They're paying a lot of money. This is so big that Toronto even introduced a new tax, and it's in place now, even though the World Cup's not till next year. This brought in changes to short-term rental policy and all sorts of stuff. Torontonians are being impacted by this. Can they even afford to go to a game? No, they cannot. Those ticket prices are obnoxious. So all that and more coming up in this episode of Scott Fox After 9. Give me about 45 minutes and I will give you the world. And today joining me on the pod is the great Anna Almeida. How you doing, Anna?
Good. I'm happy to be back.
I want to talk to you about a number of different things, and Epstein is one of them, because we haven't heard your take on Epstein recently. So I want to see if you've evolved any. But before we do, let me read you the headline. According to a new survey from KPMG, Canadian CEOs, 84% of them want employees back in the office full time. And I'm trying to reconcile that with the lessons that we've learned over the last 5 years. And frankly, it doesn't add up. When I tell you that the vast majority, 84% of CEOs want people back in the office, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
They want everybody there because they have to be there. That's the first thing that goes through my mind.
But the boss is the least likely person to be there in a lot of these companies. These CEOs are making millions, at least in the hundreds of thousands, depending on the size of the company. They're not there most of the time. How can they order all of the staff back to the office after they told them that you can work remotely? How can they order them back with a straight face when they themselves don't even apply that standard to themselves?
Oh, that's the thing that makes me so angry. A lot of people actually move to different provinces knowing that they could work abroad. Now you're telling them to come back. I think it's just total BS. If it's been working for you, let it be. Like, why try to fix something that's not broken? We know they get their job done. Listen, I've never worked remote. I have a lot of friends who do. They swear by it. It's been the best thing that's happened to them for their family life as well and their peace of mind. Yeah, maybe one day go into the office, but full time again, why? Why? It doesn't need to be done.
You know, during COVID, when we had to go and work from home in so many different cases, a lot of companies had to pivot and figure out how to do it. That also required employees pivoting and figuring out, how do I do my job from home? And in some cases, it was just technology. Maybe they needed a laptop and an internet connection, and they could do the same function at home that they do at the office. In some cases, people did have to go back, and I don't actually find that very unfair. We all choose our careers for different reasons, and if you've chosen to be a tradesperson, for example, well, chances are you're going to have to go to the job site to get the job done. However, if you do data entry, if you do coding, if you do accounts receivable or payable, if you do any of these type administrative positions, I really can't think of a good reason why, if you can do it from home, they would make you come back to the office. Except some of the CEOs are suggesting that employees are not as productive, or they're not actually doing their job, or they're not professional when they're working from home. I'll give you an example.
Please.
Some CEOs feel that whether you're working from home or not, you should be dressed for the office. You should be dressed for work. And if they find out that you're sitting around in your PJs all day doing this professional job that pays a professional salary, that in itself is a reason to order people back to the office. Is that true?
I think that's ridiculous. If you're not seeing them in a Teams meeting or whatever, what does it matter what they look like? They're in their comfort of their own home. They're completing all the tasks that you've given. Why does it matter? Focus on something more important than that. That, to me, is just so ridiculous.
How do they know, though, that you're actually working? If you get paid to do 8 hours a day, how do they know that you're actually doing 8 hours a day? Because some of them might feel like they're getting ripped off. If you're not doing 8 hours of work, but you're getting 8 hours of pay.
Well, they're signing in. Can I tell you, though, the friends that I have who work from home, they actually put in longer days than just 8 hours because they're at home and they have access to their computer and they stay there longer. They go right back to work. Not because they didn't do it during the day, because they can do more work because it's so accessible. They're not just closing their laptops, leaving it at work, and then going home and figuring it out the next day.
I think that when you don't have a commute, when you do have access to all the amenities that your home offers, I think you could probably find a balance where if you get a few minutes in between calls or a few minutes where you've finished a spreadsheet that you were working on and before you start working on that next project, you want to go and flip a load of laundry over to the dryer. I think that provides a pretty decent work-life balance. And I think that work-life balance is something that not only should employees want, employers should want their employees to be happy, healthy, and have that good balance. I don't understand why, if they can do it from home, they're ordering them back. Because during the pandemic, there were no shortage of stories about these CEOs and these big companies all excited. Wow, we've got this pared down workforce that's efficient and working from home, and we can downsize our real estate footprint and save some money, maybe sell off some assets. What changed? I really don't get why there's this big push. Now, I have heard some local politicians complaining that with people not going into the office, downtown areas are suffering. Toronto in particular, the restaurants that relied on people being downtown, the shops that required people to be downtown, they're not doing as well because there aren't as many people going downtown.
Not my fault.
It's not my fault either, you know? Like that's
not my fault.
Hey, if we all make a decision about where we want to set up our business.
Yeah.
And if you set up a business in downtown Ottawa because you thought, I'm going to get all the civil servants coming in here grabbing their coffee and scone every morning, and then there's less people going in because the condition changed, then you have to adapt your business. You don't go and lobby to have people return to the office. Yeah. That's not fair. It's another divide here on this, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Seems to be public sector versus private sector. There's no shortage of folks that, even though they get to work from home, in the private sector, they want our public sector workers, the ones who are getting paid out of tax dollars, they want them in the office 5 days a week. I don't agree with that argument either.
And why? Like, what's it to you? Who cares? Let it be. Let people just do. And to be honest, even though people get upset, oh, they do their laundry, they go to the gym on their break. That happens anyways. When you leave your desk to go talk to a colleague and you spend 10 minutes standing there chit-chatting, that's like folding your laundry, changing a load of laundry, going outside, grabbing a coffee. It all adds up to the exact same thing.
Smoke breaks.
Yes.
Everybody's got to go at the same time so we can gossip about what Sheila and HR just said in the meeting. All that stuff.
It all adds up to be the same thing. Don't worry about me. Focus on you, and everybody gets their stuff done.
Yeah, I just wish that companies would ask themselves what their goal is. And if the goal is a happy, healthy workforce that's loyal to the company and doesn't want to go anywhere, committed to the job and being productive, I don't care where they do that from. If you can do it from home, I think you should. Now, if there's scenarios where you need to have a meeting and meetings you've determined are better in person, sure. If they want you to come in for a meeting, there shouldn't be any question about that. If you do have the privilege of working remotely, but there is a circumstance where they want you in the office, even if it's a weekly meeting and you got to come in 1 day a week, take that deal and run.
Yes.
You don't need to dig in your heels and make that a line in the sand.
I agree. Don't make that the hill that you die on. Just go in, and it'll be good to see your colleagues and get reacquainted and then go about your business. Just, yeah, I'm with you on that note. But it does make me mad when I would see the bosses tell us what to do and then they're not there. They're working from home. How nice. The privileges you get that we don't.
Even around here, there's a lot of people that work from home, I've noticed. And I'm okay with that. I actually like working for a company that has taken the time, looked at all the different positions on the payroll, and while it's not fair, I don't get to work from home because I need to be where the board is and where the microphones are and where all of the equipment for radio is. someone who works in our accounting department, someone who works in our sales department, some of our copywriters. There's really no need for them to be in the office on an ongoing or regular basis. And my company or our company has made a determination that it's okay for them to work from home. I'm a little jealous of them, but I don't mind that because they can do it from home. I know it sucks because I can't, but I'm still happy for them that they get that opportunity.
Me too. To be honest, I knew the role that I was getting into when I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I want to be in studio across from you, having those conversations in person. You know, I love the job. So to me, it doesn't feel like hard work. Although, yeah, it's early mornings and you get up and you do the drive, or some people don't have the long commute that we have. But to me, it's worth it. I'm not mad at them. That's their decision. That's the gig that they got, and they're happy with it. And then, you know what? It trickles down, and we're happy.
Soccer fans looking to score deluxe tickets to next year's FIFA World Cup in Toronto are being met with some very steep ticket prices. But I do think that part of this is a misunderstanding. Some people saw the headline just the other day, Anna, that tickets for the World Cup are now on sale. The cheapest one is $2,500.
What?
They should have clarified this and made it crystal clear from the start. Those aren't the regular tickets. Those are FIFA hospitality partners, people who are sponsors and things like that. They're entitled to set up lounges and things like that. And they can really charge whatever they want to get in. They're starting at $2,500 for these high-end packages. Now, those tickets come with gourmet food. Well, gourmet stadium food is kind of an oxymoron.
But sure.
Gourmet food, premium lounge areas, and expedited entry into the venue. Costs do increase depending on the level of service. I think that this is a big kick in the ass for the folks in Toronto. When regular tickets go on sale, I believe September, that'll be up to FIFA. We still don't know how much they're going to cost, but they're going to be very expensive tickets, particularly because, well, we don't have those stadiums like Europe has that hold 100,000 people for a soccer game. We've got wimpy little BMO Field that only holds 35, 40,000 max, even with the expansion. So they're going to have to charge more than typical. I think tickets for the World Cup are going to start around $225 a piece for the nosebleeds.
Oh, that's such a sad thing, though.
Shouldn't people from Toronto be given first right of refusal on these tickets before they open it up to the world? If we live here and we're the ones being inconvenienced and it's our tax dollars that are funding this shenanigan, I don't understand why we wouldn't get first crack at tickets. There's going to be a lottery to give you the opportunity to buy tickets. Again, the cheap ones. You can buy the expensive ones right now and be guaranteed tickets. But even at that, we don't know who's going to be playing.
And that's the thing for me. There is no chance that I would be spending $2,500 and, not knowing who is going to be playing. I'm sorry. I care about the teams. I'm not throwing that kind of money for a team that I don't care about, that really is not doing anything in the World Cup. To me, that's just a waste of time and money.
Hey, you might get lucky. You might get to see Canada play USA with those tickets that you bought. Or you might end up with Ghana versus Iceland.
Good for you, Ghana, but that ain't for me.
That's the thing. How much money are you willing to spend on a chance here?
Yeah, and just to say that you're part of the FIFA World Cup experience, I'm sorry. I would rather wait for the pool or whatever it is that FIFA is going to put your name in, and then you can hopefully win tickets. But even then, I still want to know, if I'm spending $300, who am I going to see? It matters to me. I want to see the countries I want to see. And I do think that Toronto, us around here who are fronting the bill, we should have first dibs. I think that's only fair. Who's hosting should have first dibs, and then the rest can join in.
I think we should just cancel it.
What?
Get it out of Toronto. One of the most irresponsible things we could do when we are as broke as we are, when taxes have gone up as high as they have in Toronto, when we're dealing with crises after crises, from crime and punishment to economic factors to you name it. There are so many things going on. And then we hear the World Cup's coming in to treat Toronto like an ATM. They're just going to come in, suck a boatload of money out of our pockets and leave. I don't know what we're doing here. We should just cancel it and say, sorry, it's just too much money. Our people, we're not going to inconvenience them any more than we have. Get it out of here. If Vancouver wants all of our games, good. Let Vancouver have it. Otherwise, send them all to the States and Mexico. I am so not interested in having this in Toronto. It's going to be a gong show.
Gong show is correct. I was surprised that they were coming to Toronto. It just didn't come across to me that we loved the FIFA World Cup as much as I think the people who are running this think that we do. So I hope that they get what they think they're going to earn, and the businesses downtown will make the money that they think they're going to get, that they've been told and promised. I just don't see that happening, to be honest with you.
There's 6 games. That's it.
Yeah.
The stadium will hold about 40,000 people for each one. That's 240,000 people total.
Yeah.
Including the rest of the world that are going to get to see a game in Toronto. But the city has over 5 million. We're talking about a fraction of the people that are actually going to go, but everyone is going to pay the bill for it, and everyone is going to feel the impact of it when it comes to traffic and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier, we're already charging a special hotel tax to offset the cost of this. The pricing is ballooning, even though the stadium is already there.
Wow.
I don't understand who thought this was a good idea or why now is a good time, but if your team, let's play the World Cup here, good for you. I hope you buy the tickets. I hope you foot the expense. I want nothing to do with this.
Well, we just know that, and I'm going to put this out there, that we're not going to get the final game of the World Cup. We're not going to get that. That's the one. If we were promised that, that's a bit of a game changer. I think that the excitement would be there, but we're just getting these games leading to the big one. To be honest, I don't think that we should all just be jumping for joy with excitement. We're paying. Our tax money is going to help clean the subways for this. Clean the subways. What?
The extra cops that are going to be needed, the rioting in the streets that's going to happen.
Soccer fans are a little, I can say that because I grew up with them.
Well, I'm just going to say it. I mean, if you get some match with the
Argentina
versus Iran, somebody is going to be rioting after that game. Somebody is. And we don't need this drama.
No.
Like, somebody has got to stand up and say, hey, we got a year to go. We're telling you now, FIFA, skip us. You know what? Give them to Vancouver, give them wherever, send it to Washington, New Jersey. You don't give a just get it out of here because we don't want it here. We didn't think this through. We can't afford it. It comes with way too many issues that we're not prepared to deal with. Skip the World Cup.
Well, have you heard that they're thinking about bringing more games? And I think it's because they're not getting the dime that they thought they were going to get from just even these special VIP packages that promises you nothing.
Well, there's also some uncertainty with America, and they were threatening maybe we'll move some of the games out of America to Toronto.
No.
They're not going to do that.
No.
Of course they're not. That's a threat. That's kind of like, I'm going to put tariffs on you, and then never put the actual tariffs on. E-scooters are in the news. New data released yesterday by the Canadian Institute for Health Information says hospitalizations involving e-scooters for kids ages 5 to 17 increased by 61% between 2022 and 2024. The agency also says hospitalizations for adult women shot up 60% and 22% for men. You know what I don't love about stuff like this is don't give me percentages, give me numbers. Okay. How many people are we talking about here? Is it 20?
5?
Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it 60? I know it's not even in the hundreds.
No.
So how many people really are going to sick kids because they fell off their scooter? And even at that, I read a more detailed breakdown from another media source that pointed out a lot of it is cuts, bruises, lacerations, sprains, and strains. There are definitely some broken bones and some quite serious injuries. People that were riding without a helmet, for example, and ended up with brain trauma. But I mean, that could happen on a bike. That could happen on a skateboard. That could happen on a lot of different things. I'm wondering why specifically e-scooters are being centered out here.
Because I find that even just living where I live in Cambridge and seeing what's going on around, I'm finding more people are getting from A to B via scooter and they're not wearing helmets. And I'm finding that they are loading people on one scooter. I saw a whole family, a couple kids and the mom and dad, none of which were wearing the scooter. And the kids were hanging onto the bar in the front and they're just flying down the sidewalk like they own it. So, yeah, I could see the accidents happening, but, you know, keep in mind it should be for one person and wear a helmet and watch for your surroundings, gosh darn it.
Anybody under 16 is prohibited from riding these things.
Well, that hasn't stopped the people I've seen.
No, and it hasn't because, well, parents will buy them for them. What role does government play in this? Because we have the ability on a trial project here in Ontario that e-scooters are allowed, but different cities opted out. For example, Toronto opted out. Even though you see them everywhere, you're not technically allowed to have a scooter in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
But there's other cities where you can. For example, in Waterloo, they've got the ones that you can rent. You go, you scan the QR code, enter your credit card, and bam, ride it until it dies. Leave it wherever you're done with it. You're good. I love that service, by the way. Anytime I get to a U.S. city that's got those scooters for rent, I always do it. I have a great time exploring their city on those scooters. I think they're awesome.
And it's cheaper, too. And you get to see a lot more that way. And I don't know, I feel safer when I'm on there. But as long as I'm wearing a helmet and I'm going the appropriate speed, I think they're fun to have. I love them. I ride them myself. I just think you need to know your surroundings. And also, I've seen young children on a scooter that's way too big for them, and they're reaching up, holding the handlebars, trying to get down the road. Like, to me, it's just scary to see. I'm like, oh, it's an accident waiting to happen.
So what role does government play in this?
What role? They're lost. What are they supposed to do? Are they going to put the age requirement, like you said, to 16? It's not going to stop anybody.
Should police get involved?
If you see somebody, are you going to ticket a child? I don't know. Are you going to pull them over? They're on the sidewalk, so they're technically not on the road.
Well, see, you got to follow the rules of the road. And this is a parenting issue. If there's really that many injuries happening, and I have no reason to think that these doctors are lying. I don't necessarily believe them, but I don't think they're lying. And I think that these statistics are very misleading when you put it out as a percentage, especially a percentage of the population. I mean, it doesn't add up to being a serious thing. But for whatever reason, there seems to be a war on these e-scooters. So let's talk about them. I've got one.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's got 3 gears that I can put it in. And I think the fastest it goes is like 32 kilometers an hour. It's not much faster than a bike. Really doesn't operate much differently than a bike other than you stand on it as opposed to sit on it. This is electric. It doesn't require your legs to propel it like a bike does, but there's certainly no rules or restrictions on bikes. And whether someone ends up riding on the sidewalk on a bike or a scooter, either way, they're doing something wrong. These are intended for bike lanes and things like that, correct?
Yeah.
I don't understand why the city needs to get involved here. I don't understand why Toronto, for example, has banned these. Wouldn't especially when you see how many people are using them, wouldn't it make more sense to create an education process? Wouldn't it make more sense to say, hey, listen, sure, you can have these, but common sense rule. You got to wear a helmet if you're under, say, 16 years old or under 18 years old. You would need to follow the rules of the road. And if you don't, you will get a ticket. And if you're a minor, your parents will get the ticket.
Ooh, I like that.
But either way, banning it, I think, creates more of a want and need for it, demand, if you will. I think that we need to stop trying to outlaw everything that Olivia Chow thinks is dangerous.
I'm with you on that. It doesn't need to be banned. You need to have common sense and address what needs to be addressed. Just like when you're teaching your child to ride a bike, wear your helmet, know the rules of the road, and have some fun. That's what it was. I don't think they expected the e-bikes or e-scooters or whatever to blow up in such popularity and so quickly. But, you can share it. It's cheaper than a vehicle, than a car, and you still get to point A to point B. And there's spots that you can just rent them, and it's no cost to you, really, at the end of the day. But yeah, wear a helmet and know the surroundings and stop thinking that you own the sidewalk.
Stay off the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's all they do. That's what I see all the time. They're always on the sidewalks. Always on the sidewalks. That's the part that gets me. They almost ran over my mother who was out in front of our house.
I mean, that's just inconsiderate. I mean, that's a stupid kid.
It's rude.
It's very rude. Listen.
It's rude.
We've all got to live together here. We've all got to share the same amenities. And you've got to use your head. But I mean, banning them is not a good idea.
No.
The ER doctors here that are coming out and complaining seem to want them banned. And frankly, I have no time for people that want to keep putting rules on us. No, these are the scooters. This is how fast they go. It's really not that much faster than a bike. The advantage to a scooter is it has signal lights. It has lights. It has a horn. It has all the things that a bike is supposed to have, but almost none of them do.
So why aren't bikes banned? Why aren't skateboards banned?
This
why
is
aren't
my question.
rollerblades banned? Like, if you're going to start banning one thing, you got to start doing all of them, that's a fight that they don't want to take on. So stop picking and choosing what you feel is unsafe to you and just let people be and just educate them. That's the way we should go about things.
A stark new report warns Canada is in a recession already, and job losses could start piling up. Oxford Economics says in an updated forecast, Canada's plans to ramp up defense spending will help to lift the economy this year. But the firm argues that a boost won't be enough to pull Canada out of a downturn that it says started last quarter. It started a lot sooner than that.
Yeah.
Oxford Economics says the economy could lose 140,000 jobs through the rest of this year as sectors beyond industries directly harmed by U.S. tariffs start to see layoffs.
Okay, we are in a recession.
No one will admit it, but yes, we are, Anna.
We are in a recession. I've been saying it for so long. We are hurting. People are constantly losing their jobs. That number scares me, but that's the track that we're on. People can't afford anything anymore. And I don't see us coming out of this for a very long time. Say what you want. Think you're going to be the hero, but you're not. You're not. This is outrageous. We are in a recession. People are struggling. Gosh, wake up.
I think StatsCan needs to be investigated.
Gosh.
I think, and maybe even disbanded. You know, I've been watching that agency, which provides all of the statistics that our decision making is based on, and it just doesn't add up. If all indicators are that we're in a recession and every regular middle class person can feel it, where are they getting this data from that we're not? You know, when you get Oxford Economics forecasting 140,000 job losses in the next 6 months, and StatsCan is still putting out numbers like everything is sunshine and roses.
Oh, gosh, they're just making that shit up.
It seems like they are. It does seem that way. I really don't think that we should put much stock into what's coming down here from StatsCan. I just really don't.
And how often you talk to a friend who either that friend or they know somebody who's lost their job?
Well, that's another thing. And
honestly,
it's not getting reported.
No.
In fact, we get these ridiculous numbers from StatsCan. 83,000 new jobs created last month.
Where?
I don't know a single person that got a new job, not a full-time job, recently. I've seen people that have picked up some extra work doing handyman stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
I've seen side hustles develop, but I can't remember the last time a friend phoned me and said, hey, I just got a great job with a good company and they're giving me benefits and a great salary and I can live off of that. I haven't had that conversation in years.
No, and they're downsizing and they're saying, hey, because we're downsizing, we're going to keep you, but we need you to do 3 people's job so we can stay afloat. And you will because you need the job. Wake up. I mean, we are in a recession. We are hurting. 140,000 people are going to be without work. Like, I'm sorry. Then you wonder why crime is up and people are losing it and are being disrespectful. And yeah, because we're hurting. We're hurting as a society. Give me a break. Sorry.
But you don't hear our politicians talk about that. You know, if Oxford Economics can say it and the entire middle class sees it, isn't Mark Carney supposed to be some sort of a wizard with the economy? Isn't he supposed to be some genius financially? Where is he? Why isn't he talking about this? Does Mark Carney think Canada's in a recession? I'd love for somebody to ask him that. Actually, there's 2 questions, Anna, that I would like to see asked of Mark Carney, and I don't think a single one of the Ottawa press pool has the guts to do it. Somebody ask Mark Carney if he agrees that Canada is in a recession, and let's see how out of touch the central banker actually is. This is the guy who, in his previous life, would have looked at the inflation numbers and made the decision to raise or lower interest rates. That used to be his job in Canada and in the UK. Apparently, he's got the resume and he's a genius. Ask him if he can relate to the middle class, because if he can, he'll admit, yes, we're in a recession. Totally. We don't have the final numbers from StatsCan to back it up, but anybody can see that we are in a serious downturn right now. So I'd like somebody to ask Mark Carney about that. They won't. The other one I want them to ask Carney is, we have intelligence agencies in Canada between CSIS and the RCMP. Are there any Epstein files in Canada? What does the RCMP and CSIS know about Jeffrey Epstein? And our National Intelligence Agency, CSIS, we're part of the Five Eyes. Like, we have access to a lot of the same intel and surveillance that our counterparts do. Countries like the US and the UK and Australia, etc. Canada must have some Epstein files. Who's going to ask Carney about it? Is anybody?
No.
Because if we do have intelligence files on it, and there's no reason to think we don't, there's no way that the CIA, the FBI, and all these other intelligence agencies had Epstein on their radar, let it happen, but he was on their radar, but Canada didn't. Where are the Canadian Epstein files? Will somebody ask Mark Carney about that, and will Mark Carney commit to sharing or declassifying whatever information we have on Epstein? And if he won't, why?
Yeah, no one's going to ask. First of all, he hasn't been middle class since the age of dawn or whatever, however that quote is, because he's living the high life. He gets paid well. He's traveling on everybody else's money. So to me, he doesn't understand what people are actually going through. You can say you do, but you don't if you're not living it. And he's never going to admit that there's any sort of connection with Canada to the Epstein files, which is very strange to me because of course there is. He's so connected to so many people all around the world. And don't tell me these files don't exist. I don't think there's an actual list. Of course, I don't think anybody was just like, oh, this Joe Blow came here on this particular day. But there is traction. You have to have people in place for other people to go and see and meet, and there has to be some sort of order. This happened. His partner would not be in jail for association if there was nothing to put her in jail for. It blows my mind that these people think we're stupid.
Donald Trump does think people are stupid. I'm going to play for you the latest on the Epstein saga. Yesterday, the president, doing another Oval Office meeting, got asked a few questions by the media about Epstein, and he doesn't want to hear it. He is so over the top, out of touch when it comes to the Epstein stuff. He's actually calling it a hoax. And here's where I think Trump isn't playing the long game. Donald Trump is now a quarter of the way through, almost a quarter of the way through his final term as president. He's got to start thinking about his legacy. Donald Trump can be the guy who ended the war between Russia and Ukraine. He could be the guy who ended the war between Israel and Hamas or Israel and Iran. He could be the guy who creates world peace. He could cure cancer. He could figure out what causes autism. He could get all the natural or unnatural dyes and stuff out of our food. They just announced that Coca-Cola is going to cane sugar. That's going to make that drink a heck of a lot more healthy for people who drink it. I mean, there's a lot of great things that he can do. No tax on tips, the ability to write off the interest on your car payments, like all good stuff from the big, beautiful bill. He can be the guy who sealed the border and made America trillions of dollars off tariffs, all of it. If he doesn't release the Epstein files, that will forever be his legacy.
I agree.
Donald Trump, the guy who called Epstein a hoax. And whoever wants this job after Donald Trump, it can't be Trump. There are term limits and whatever nonsense he's going to try and get in for a third term.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd get elected anyway. I think he'd lose in a primary at this point because enough people have had enough of his BS and are highly insulted that he's calling this Epstein thing a hoax now.
It's disgusting. Why are we protecting pedophiles?
Why are we protecting pedophiles? There's two sides here. You can be either on the side that likes abusing children and wants to protect it, or you can be on the good side that doesn't believe children are objects, doesn't believe that they should ever be harmed in any way, and believes that people who do should be punished. You can only be on one team. Right now, Donald Trump seems to be on the team of protect the pedophiles and let them do whatever they want.
Disgusting.
So before I play this audio, I just want to reiterate, Donald Trump is not thinking about his legacy, but he should. Because, Don, that's going to be your legacy. You're going to be the guy who called the Epstein files a hoax. Who's going to come after him? There's a lot of people who feel J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States, who has been fairly quiet on this Epstein topic.
He really
hasn't said much because I think he does deeply disagree with the president. It's either going to be J.D. Vance or it's going to be the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, might even be the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. One of those guys is going to be the next president. We're likely not going to have a Democrat president because as of today, their polling numbers are down to 19%.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Less than 1 in 5 Americans are happy with the job the Democrats are doing right now. That means actual Democrats are also unhappy with the job Democrats are doing. So it's probably going to be Republicans. Mm-hmm. Those are the three guys. And it seems like those three guys do want to release the files. Let me play for you a quick exchange that Trump had yesterday in the Oval Office with some of the media.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that? No,
it's not the Attorney General, no. I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including in the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, he talks about him as if they're not friends. They were friends. They were spotted together. There's photos of them. You talk about him like you don't know him. Shut up. Release it. This is garbage. Garbage. And you know what? I'm happy. Go down for this. I didn't like you anyways, and now you're proving to the world why we don't like you.
A lot of people agree with that sentiment, Anna. Let me play another exchange with reporters in the Oval Office, because you know what? And I'm happy about this. The media is not going to let Trump off the hook on this one.
Yeah.
Will you ask Attorney General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to bed?
Yeah, whatever's credible, she can release. If a document is credible, if a document's there that is credible, she can release. I think it's good. But it's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone, and. All it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. And no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes. They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans, in this case I was surprised, but they got duped.
But
Yeah, I'm going to leave him there.
Oh, gosh, I hate that man. I'm sorry.
And he earns it. Like, he's earning it. It's funny because he had so much support on his side. People that elected him on a promise to secure the border, to make America great again, and to clear up any of the ambiguity and give America back their country by being transparent about stuff like the Epstein files, who killed Kennedy, who killed MLK, all of these things. 9/11 is another one. Based on what I've seen here, he doesn't seem to get it. If he thinks that comparing the Epstein files to Russia, or the Steele dossier, or any of the other ones, there were a lot of stories over the years, going back to Obama, planted to discredit Trump. They tried everything they could to make sure this guy did not get reelected. And despite all of that, Trump did get reelected. This is not apples to apples. Throwing Epstein in with those other made up stories like the Hunter Biden laptop. It was completely true. But now even CNN can admit it was completely true, even though they insisted it was a hoax and a conspiracy theory and things like that. Got it. This is not the same thing. The Epstein files go to the core of corruption in government. Mm-hmm. This is how, when we put a little sunlight on this, sunlight is the best disinfectant. When we bring all of this to light, who was going to the island? Who was paying for it? Who was being offered it for free? Who got filmed and then blackmailed because they did it? All of these things matter. They're all relevant. For Trump to just dismiss it and say it's a hoax is completely and wildly inappropriate and insulting.
Yep.
You know, he is angering so much of his base, people that would have gone to war for that guy and supported him. They don't want any piece of him anymore, not until he comes clean on these Epstein files. And I don't think Trump understands this is not going away.
No.
Release the files. If you're in them, okay, we'll deal with that and figure out what the consequence may be. And maybe it means you can't be president anymore because you did something with whoever. By the way, I don't think he did that. Trump is trying to say here that the Democrats created this Epstein mess to bring him down, to hurt his presidency. I mean, this goes back to 2007. If they did that, they would have tried to do it in 2016. Yeah. They would have tried to do it again in 2020, and they sure as hell would have done it by now. but they never did. They didn't use it. He's trying to say that they put this together to frame him, but never used it. And it doesn't make sense.
I'm not trying to take him down. I want to take everybody else down, you know? And to me, you're the president of the United States. You're the top leader. You are a father and you are a grandfather. Imagine those were your kids and grandchildren. And the fact that you don't see the problem with saying that it's a hoax, to me, is just disgusting and mind-blowing. You know, it makes me sick that you can sit there in your throne and be like, ugh, whatever, it doesn't affect me personally. As if, my gosh, obviously somebody got to you. Somebody's running the show. You're just the puppet that they're running and saying, hopefully this will go away. I think he assumed that it would go away. It's not going away, and it won't go away as long as we stay on it.
I'm reading from a number of people that Howard Lutnick is an interesting person to watch in all of this. Howard Lutnick is a billionaire. He is Trump's commerce secretary, if I'm not mistaken. He's also the guy who's running the tariff game for Donald Trump. Lutnick has an interesting past. Good friends with Epstein. They were neighbors at one point. Neighbors.
Interesting.
Lutnick is one of the guys who was supposed to be at the Twin Towers on 9/11, but that day happened to show up late for work.
Oh.
There's some interesting things about Howard Lutnick, and I'm not going to go any further down, but you don't have to look very far to find a lot of people who are starting to speculate about what Howard Lutnick's role really is in the White House right now. Let me play for you some old Donald Trump. The Benny Johnson podcast has done wonderful work on keeping the Epstein thing front and center. I'm doing the work here in Canada. Benny seems to be leading the charge in America, and more power to him. He's got a great podcast, and he's a good guy. He dug up some old audio and video from Donald Trump. Would you like to hear how much the position has evolved of Donald John Trump? You know, you just heard him talking about how it's a hoax.
Yeah.
But he didn't used to feel that way.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
Oh, but it didn't happen.
But it didn't happen. It's a hoax. It's a hoax created by Barack Obama.
Honestly, if he wasn't president, if he never went that route, he would be one of the loudest people out there saying, release these files.
Sure.
I truly believe that.
Sure. You want to hear a little bit of common sense?
I would love common sense.
Let me play for you a little bit of another podcaster, Russell Brand.
Oh.
Russ has got a great podcast as well. I don't listen to it very often, full disclosure, but I'm certainly aware of what he does and the kind of numbers he gets. So I'm going to give him a little bit of voice here. This is him talking about the irony of the situation that we're in, where Donald Trump is calling the Epstein files a hoax.
And what we're talking about with the Epstein files is the kind of compromises that might pertain to extremely powerful individuals that have been in control of global events and the trajectory of global power for decades. That's why we're talking about the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bushes. Those kind of names are the names people are interested in. I think people also are capable of discerning between hedonism and decadence, even though that does bring to the forefront moral questions, because our leaders should be behaving in a moral and ethical way that is, if not supreme, at least is a good example to everyone else. Let me know if you agree with that in the comments and chat. But we can also see the difference between ghastly, ghoulish criminality, coercion, trafficking, paedophilia, non-consensual activity at an institutional scale or even at the individual scale. These are clear crimes and they ought to be investigated, and if there's information pertaining to them, it should be released and revealed. Trump made his bones and his name by being the president and politician that was not afraid to say what was unsayable elsewhere, i.e. when it came to financial matters. I know about these tax loopholes because I used them, and so do Hillary Clinton's voters. And I guess that's the Trump people want to see around the Epstein files, and for some reason we are not seeing it. Do you believe that's because there are no files, there are no incriminating documents? And of course that leaves open questions like, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? Is she just actually in jail for trafficking girls and children and women that didn't consent to what? Prince Andrew, who also, by the way, hasn't been convicted of anything? Or is there more to it? I would be in the latter camp. I'm guessing most of you are. But that's just why I think. Let me know what you think.
Amen. He knows it. I'm sorry.
Everybody knows it.
Give me a freaking break at this point that we have to have these discussions, that we have to push. But I feel like somebody got to Trump and shut him up real quick. Honestly, that's my personal opinion.
One more clip from Trump yesterday as he was leaving the Oval Office. Somebody asked him, would you be okay with appointing a special counsel? A special counsel is someone who has authority to investigate and they don't get told no. They can look at anything. They can make sure that they get to the bottom of a situation. Special counsels have been used many times in the past. For example, in the impeachment situation with Bill Clinton, there was a special counsel appointed to look into his affairs at the White House. Yes, that Bill Clinton. Did we forget about that, by the way?
No.
Okay. Well, Donald Trump was asked yesterday, very casually, would you support having a special counsel? Listen to this.
President Trump, would you consider appointing a special counsel to investigate the Jeffrey Epstein investigation?
I have nothing to do with it.
I have nothing to do with it.
Really?
What? That's a strange answer. I have nothing to do with it. No, you're the one who appoints them. You're the president.
Yeah.
What do you mean I have nothing to do with it? Sounded very defensive to me. Very defensive.
That's his strategy right now. Defense and, it's not like this. Deflect, 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 deflect. It's not going to work. We're not letting it go.
I am going to point out that there are a number of people who were on team Release the Files. These are MAGA influencers mainly, who are probably listening to the president when he tries to order his supporters drop it. Some of them are. And I'm not 100% sure why. If they got bought off or if they just got the ultimatum, either you drop it or you're out.
Yeah.
You will not get access to the president anymore. You will not get access to this or that or whatever, or the next administration. We'll make sure you're blackballed forever. Some of them are probably worried and they have dropped it. But there's some who are speculating that Trump has the files. Trump knows exactly who's in those files. He's playing coy right now like he doesn't and like he's not going to release it because he himself is doing the extortion that Jeffrey Epstein threatened people with. If Jeffrey Epstein had dirt on, let's say it was Bill Clinton, he could probably say to Bill Clinton, you're going to do this or I'll release the tapes. If Trump has the tapes now, how do we know that he's not doing the same thing to the people who are on these tapes? Maybe there is a bit of a situation happening behind the scenes, but in order to gain their trust, he's got to pretend this is a hoax and pretend like he's not interested in releasing. That's a theory that's out there. I don't give it a whole ton of credibility, but I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that he is going to release the tapes. It's just he's using them for something right now.
I mean, he's not proven his moral compass to be a good one. So, I mean, if this theory is true, it could be. There could be some substance to it. I think it's just garbage that the leader of one of the strongest countries in the world is denying something that is so obvious and speaking to us like we're dumb kids.
One last thing, and I don't have a ton of time to spend on this today, but I do think it's important that we hear it. August 1st is the deadline for Canada and the USA to reach a deal. That's the deadline imposed by the Americans. Mark Carney yesterday decided to go to Hamilton, of all places, and speak in front of some steel workers there and talk about putting tariffs on. He looked and sounded like Donald Trump at times yesterday as he was announcing these tariffs, but not against the Americans. Against the Chinese and
no
other
sense.
countries.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm starting to think he's losing the plot too.
My God.
It's like he's confused about who's tariffing what.
Yeah.
But anyway, he got asked a couple of pointed questions. And while I am going to, before I even play the answer, one thing to listen for is keep in mind the difference here. When Justin Trudeau got asked a question, he never answered it. He would give you talking points that he wanted out, but he would never answer a question. I will continue to give Mark Carney the benefit of the doubt and enough runway to get his feet under him as the prime minister. And I'll point out and give credit where credit is due. This man does, for the most part, give you somewhat of an answer when you ask him a question. The problem is he gets very testy when he doesn't like the question. So here is yesterday in Hamilton, Ontario.
Prime Minister met with Canadian press. You told Canadians that you would be elbows up, and they appear to have largely given you a mandate to get a good deal from the president. But thus far, we have not seen that Canada has gotten basically nothing. And Canada also had to give one of its bargaining chips when it comes to the digital services tax, something other countries like the UK did not give up in their deal with the US. How do you still convince Canadians that you are really elbows up?
Well, look, we are in the midst of long now and tough negotiations with the United States. And we're working for the best deal for Canada. We have put in place a series of retaliatory measures, including in the steel sector. We have secured tariff-free access for a number of Canadian goods. In fact, the percentages are very high in terms of outside of the most affected sectors, steel being one of them, autos, aluminum, forest products. The vast majority of Canadian goods and services are tariff-free. That is not the case for most other countries. We will continue to work constructively for a deal, but it has to be a deal that works for Canadians and Canadian workers. And part of the reason why we don't have a deal is that deal is not yet on the table.
Someone got fired for asking him that question.
Yeah.
And what a difference in listening to questions from the media in Canada versus the U.S. I would much rather them be the setup that the U.S. has with the politicians here in Canada. Get those questions, those tough questions out.
He should be asked tough questions, and honestly, it's his job to have an answer for them. And again, 100 times better than Trudeau.
Yeah.
Trudeau was the biggest mistake this country made since his father. And you know, it is refreshing to at least have someone like Carney here now. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Carney supporter. I'm not. I voted for Pierre. Mm-hmm. And I still think that we'd be in a much different spot with Pierre. Not actually, I shouldn't even say much different. I think Canada would really be rallying behind Canada right now because I think that Parliament would be sitting. Pipelines would be being built. I think we would be shopping for new customers. We would have tankers in the Vancouver harbor again. We would be doing all the things that we need to do. The Ring of Fire would be approved. We'd be looking to build a road to the Ring of Fire and start mining right away. I think that we'd already be doing all of those things, or we'd be very close. Carney seems to be a lot slower to get these things started. He won't even tell us what nation-building projects his cabinet has approved. Just today, he's doing the consultation with the First Nations, and I don't understand why we waited until July 17th to do that. C5 passed weeks ago. Man. So he seems to be going at a bit of a turtle's pace here, but the clock is running out. August 1st is the date. We need to have a deal done with the Americans, or if we don't, and hear me out on this, the opposition has got to bring him down, and we need to revote. We need to have another federal election, and at the very first opportunity to bring the government down, which will likely be at the end of September when the House starts again, maybe even the beginning of October, we need to have a confidence vote. And if Carney got elected without disclosing his conflicts, and now we know there's over 100 of them, if he got elected promising that he would not sell out our sovereignty, he is, but to Europe, not to America. If he got elected saying that he would be responsible with our money, but he's actually spending almost double what Trudeau was spending. He got elected saying that he could deal with Trump, and he can't deal with Trump and couldn't get a deal done. It's perfectly reasonable and fair to go back to the Canadian people and say, nothing I promised you happened. I cut your taxes a little bit. Hopefully you enjoy the extra $2 a month or whatever, but that's really all I got done. So we're going to vote again. And you can, if you want me back, if you want to give me 4 years, sure, I'll still be your prime minister. But otherwise, I think you guys need to vote again and vote for what you think is the best direction of the country. Now, no government is going to do that. So the opposition will have to do that for them. And if Carney sells out on something like supply management, the Bloc Québécois is probably going to march to Ottawa themselves and demand that Parliament be recalled just so they can vote down this government. They'll lose the Bloc. They'll lose the Conservatives. Might even lose some of the NDP. This government could fall. August 1st is an important deadline. If we don't have a deal on August 1st, Carney owes us another election. He should recall Parliament. There should be a confidence vote and let the chips fall where they may. And if that means we have to dissolve Parliament and vote again in September, so be it. We elected somebody on a lot of promises, a lot of false premises, sometimes even lies. And if he can't do the most basic thing that he said he would do, I think it's only fair that we have another vote.
Is he not aware, or does he just not believe that something like that could actually happen, that a different party could push for something like this, that Canadians would actually, in fact, go to the lines again and vote.
He's very aware that it could happen. He has a minority government. At any time, a minority government could fall. I think that's part of the reason that Parliament's not sitting right now. Parliament needs to at least sit for us to have the confidence vote. And right now, they're not sitting for months.
So do you think that's part of the reason?
Part of it.
Yeah?
It's totally strategic.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
This fall, he's going to have to come to Canadians and be honest with us about how bad our finances are. He's going to have to tell us how much the debt is.
Wow.
When he tells us that, and we already know from access to information requests that went to the RCMP has already warned the government Canadians may revolt when they find out how in debt they are. If Carney releases those numbers, and he doesn't have a deal with America, and we're in a recession, and 140,000 people are losing their job,
and
there's going to be an election before Christmas.
Whoa, I'd be interested to see that happen, to be honest with you.
But if all those things are happening, even those 3 or 4 New Democrats or whatever they are, I don't even know what they are anymore, the Bloc, the Conservatives, how could they possibly vote for anything that government wants to do with all of those other factors happening?
And then it makes sense why Pierre probably have lost his seat, too.
It all adds up. It's all connected, Anna. Let me play for you just a couple more from Mark Carney. This is him talking about tariffs.
And we will also implement additional tariffs on steel imports from all non-U.S. countries containing steel melted and poured in China. Our existing arrangements with our CUSMA partners will remain the same, including no changes to our current trade measures with the United States.
I don't understand what he said, so I'm going to play that again. Non-U.S. partners. In other words, if you're the U.S., you don't face tariffs. If you're non-U.S., you do. Let's just hear that one more time.
And we will also implement additional tariffs on steel imports from all non-U.S. countries containing steel melted and poured in China.
I think he's afraid of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He seems to be afraid of Donald Trump. I mean, this is the opposite of elbows up, let's roll.
It's so funny to me. I don't feel he started off afraid. To be honest, I really don't think. I think something shifted. Something's going on, man, with these people. I'm not sure what it is, but something is happening behind the scenes that we're not getting any. I mean, we're never going to get any answers anyways, but it's more obvious than ever.
Somebody asked Carney about the Epstein files that Canada has. Somebody asked Carney if he thinks we're in a recession. That's what I want from the Ottawa Media Corps. Gotta go, everybody. Anna, thanks a lot. This was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Listener DMs tomorrow. I've already got a ton of them, and they cover a whole bunch of things, including, never saw this one coming, God.
What?
Someone has a question about me and God tomorrow on the pod.
Wow.
Listener DMs, you can slide into mine or Anna's. It's Anna_Almeida on Instagram, or me at Scott Fox on Air. Catch you right back here tomorrow, friends. Oh, yeah.